Hello friends, how are you today? I hope you're doing well. I wanted to come to you today to share with you a very interesting fact about the book. Please excuse me if I look extra shiny. It's just unbelievably hot out here today, and so I am glistening. Let's just call it that, okay? Anyway, I wanted to talk to you about the book because I posted a video yesterday where I was talking about how I edited the videos when I was in film school, and it made me realize that I did not write about college or high school in the book Dark World Light Work. Now, if you have been following along here or you know anything about the book, you know that it's 842 pages long already. And I do not know what happened, but I skipped over that whole part of my life. Now, I speak about all of the lessons that I learned in the Lutheran high school that I went to. And I do talk about college very briefly in the chapter where I moved to New York City after 9/11. But as far as like real stories from that time, I guess that's a whole different book. I already had the plans to make a book that was all about my supernatural occurrences because I've had those from a very young age all the way until now. There's so many of them. They would make the best book. That was the thing that I was considering and working out writing next. But I also have to write a story or a book about the stories from high school and college because I have a lot of great stories, particularly from college because I did a lot of interesting things in film school and in the film industry that I think are worthy of note. And I was just thinking last night of some of the stories from college, and they're really, really good. They're more like light work stories, especially when it comes to Hollywood, because back then it wasn't as bad as it is now, and I was a huge fan. Obviously, I was in film school. I will actually tell a very good light work story right now because it will make up for the Dark World story that I had to tell earlier about the people who've been harassing me. So when I was in college, I took a class on the films of Steven Soderbergh and Spike Lee. The teacher that taught the class got every single movie that both of these guys made. I'm talking about like their senior films from film school, all the way to the latest movie that they made. And this was about in the year 2000. So it was really, really cool. And then we watched a movie that was even before She's Gotta Have It. That was a Spike Lee movie that he like did in NYU film school, or wherever he went to film school. It was really, really cool. And so we spent the entire semester like going over their movies and their style and everything about them. And luckily, I was able to work as an extra on the set of Ocean's 11, which was directed by Steven Soderbergh. And after having taken a class on the guy's directing style, to be able to sit there at a craps table while he jumped on top of this dolly to check the aperture on the camera was really a full circle moment for me. And I was just like, this is just the greatest thing. I mean, it was the pinnacle of my time in the Hollywood scene was that set. And it really had a downward spiral from there. But it was a really spectacular thing to be able to have that full circle moment to learn all about the guy and then to actually see him doing it live in action was a really good time. So it wasn't all bad. It was really fun. And the set was really cool. And there was this really fun moment when I was actually really tired of being an extra. I didn't like to be an extra, and I only did that 2 times. Okay, so I was only an extra a couple of times, and then I realized that there was a little bit more power and a little bit more to do. And I don't mean like power over other people. I mean like as an extra or any sort of talent, even if you are the star, there is a cattle-like vibe with the way that they treat you. And I wanted to be doing something. And so I ended up working on the crew side, like lugging equipment and breaking down lights and stuff. And for me, that was a better way to check out a set than being an extra, because an extra was sitting around a lot. And one day I was sitting around and I was so tired. It was hot and we were up in this room waiting for them to set up another. So hot, and it was so irritating. There were so many people in there, and I'm not a people person. So I was like, I got to get out of here. So I left, acted like I was going to go to the bathroom, and I went downstairs, and there happened to be a door that was open. And I was sussing out the situation, trying to see, could I get out of this door? It was a really long walk because we had to take a shuttle to the casino from where we were allowed to park. And so it was a whole thing. And I was like, how do I get back to this freaking car so I can get out of here? And I was like, I'm not going to come back. I had a lot of fun. I got to see Steven Soderbergh do his little thing, and I'm ready to leave the industry. And I was sitting there at the door, and I looked over, and William Bradley Pitt, was walking down the corridor. He was in his tactical gear because they were shooting the scene where they're breaking into the casino. And the best part of this story is that this man was holding a white bread sandwich, and it was in a Ziploc baggie. He had it half out of the bag, and he was like taking a bite out of it. And I was just so mesmerized by the sandwich. I was just like, where did he get this sandwich? Like, where did he put it while he was filming the scene? Who brought it to him? At the time, he was married to Jennifer Aniston. I was like, is she the type of person that would make him a sandwich and send it to him in his lunch? It was like bimbo bread, like Wonder Bread. And it was a flat sandwich, meaning it was like peanut butter and jelly or like cold cuts or something. Now, the man is from Kansas, so it could have literally been anything. But I was just like, where did he get this sandwich? And I'm sitting there worried so much about the sandwich that like he gets halfway down the hall, and I was like, I gotta look at this guy's face. How often do I get to look Brad Pitt, like the most attractive man of that generation, in the face, and there's nobody else even in the room? And I looked up at him, and he looked at me, and like two people who are just like looking, there's nothing behind the eyes on either of us, and we're staring at each other. And then he walks past me and keeps on walking, and I go back to the sandwich, and I'm just like, where the fuck did he get this sandwich from? And that's been something that I've been like plagued with. Not plagued with, but I've thought about it for over the course of many, many years. I'm just like, where did this dude get this sandwich? He was on the set. Like, who brought him the sandwich? Who made the sandwich? That's what I want to know. But anyway, that's one fun story from my high school or from college. I have another fun one, actually. I don't know if I'll tell it today, but I do have a fun one. It's about a guy who I feel like he is a good guy. Like, he's a guy that even if he ended up kind of messed up by the industry a little bit or turned by the industry a little bit, I know for a fact that this guy started out as a good guy because one of his friends from high school told me he was a good guy before he got famous. That's the craziest story. This story is really... Should I save it for the book? I wish there were people watching me. I'd be like, comment below if you want me to tell that story. Because that story is the best story of them all. Only because a guy that I had respect for before he even told me the story told me that he was a good guy. And he told me stuff about this guy. And everything he told me about the guy, I could see once he became famous was true. Light works. Okay, anyway, love you. Bye.